Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Sweet Spot. I am so excited for this episode. If you are watching us on Travel Media Group's YouTube channel, you know that we are here live on location. This is the first time ever we've been live on location. We're very excited. We've got this brand new Sweet Spot Spotlight series. We just had our first episode, but the first time that we're doing it live on location, and we have such a great guest and property that we're going to be showcasing on this Spotlight series. So without further ado, let me bring him in, Simon Sorpresi of the SLS South Beach, Vice President of Ennismore, Miami, Mexico, and South America. Simon, welcome to the Sweet Spot for the first time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and it's great to host you and your team here at the SLS South Beach.
And my breath was taken away when we came in through these doors. You have a beautiful property here at the SLS South Beach. It really, truly embodies the spirit of this series. We are going around the country trying to find and showcase the hotel's most unique and historic in the nation. And I think that SLS certainly fits the bill. But before we start talking about the property, it's always interesting to talk to another person in hospitality because we know everyone's story is different, right? You could start as a bellman at a hotel like myself. Some people are literally born into the industry. Some people just fall into it just by choice. So tell us a little bit about your story and what led you to Ennismore.
Wow, okay, let me try to keep it short. So first of all, it's a pleasure to have you here. Simon Sorpresi, so as you can hear, I'm not originally from the States. I still have a very thick accent. I try to get rid of it, which I'm clearly not mastering it. But was very interested, studied initial construction and architecture back in Europe and fell through an excursion from that architectural school in hotels, fell kind of in love of the hotels, and I was like, oh my God, that's really kind of unique. There was a gentleman called Uli Prager. He was the founder of Mövenpick, the brand, and he did the tour, and he was very charismatic. He could speak about the thread counts of the linen to how to wash pots and pans. I mean, he knew it all. And as a young young professional, I was really I think wowed by him and said, I want to become him. And so that's how it came about. Did the hotel management school in Switzerland, worked all different disciplines of the hotel, worked then very heavy in food and beverage, specialized myself in food and beverage, had my own company in Europe and said, I want to learn English and ultimately moved to New York City. Afterwards, sold the business, moved to New York City, had my own business in New York, mostly in nightlife and art galleries, and then did that for 7 years and went back to the roots of hospitality in luxury segmentation in Los Angeles. And I came here at SLS South Beach is the reason why it was such a tempting thing for me, because I have the discipline. I worked in the rooms, I worked in the food and beverage, I had nightlife. The SLS South Beach has all those verticals, and Ennismore with the SLS brand, we pride ourselves to have those different verticals. So we say we're not only hoteliers, but we're also restaurateurs and so forth. So that's really what enticed me to come to this property.
You have certainly spanned the entire gamut of hospitality and major markets, not only across the nation, across the world. So it's such a luxury to be sitting here with you and getting, and I'm sure, as someone who really started in the architecture and construction, a property like the SLS South Beach has such a rich history, right? So we've learned a little bit about yourself. This series is all about showcasing the property. Tell us a little bit about its rich history, because that's something that when you walk in through these doors, you're amazed by the art and decor. But even on the outside, there's those pieces of history and time that just draws you and allures you in.
So I think what is important, and thank you for the compliments. I mean, what is important to kind of start off maybe with the surrounding of SLS South Beach, because we are here in Miami Beach, which is very known for the historic district, so Art Deco. During the time of Art Deco, basically Miami Beach blossomed, and we have a lot of Art Deco, beautiful architecture, and we are in the epicenter of that Art Deco. It's also Art Deco preserved, so the outside needs to remain this way, and the idea of that is obviously to maintain that charming characteristic of the city. So SLS is in that Art Deco district, has a lot of Art Deco features, as you noticed probably already.
Yes.
And now we kind of overlaid, when the hotel was designed in 2012, was with a very well-known designer, Philip Stark, and Lenny Kravitz. So those are the two designers that ultimately created the hotel. The public areas when you come in, that grand arrival with the carpet and quite theatrical coming in, and that's very intentional built this way, is by Philip Stark. And then we have a couple of luxury suites that were designed by Lenny Kravitz, by the Kravitz Design, which was one of his first designs actually.
Yeah.
So we are quite often taking quite a bit of a trailblazer approach, if I may say that.
Yeah, that's I would have never known. And so that's what I want to get to next. Is like that type of history. When you look at a building, it's you obviously can see the historical nature, but you don't get that story like you just told. Like how do you with a building such full of rich history and stories like that? How are you doing that storytelling at the SLS South Beach?
You know, it's a very, very good question, and to be quite frank, we tried different angles to do such. We are under the belief that little bit snapshots and pieces of educational things are very welcome by the guest. But it depends. Each guest, each customer is very individual. Some people like, I want to know more. And some people are like, you know, I just want to have fun. Don't tell me anything about history. But so we little bits and pieces, we tease them. And of course, a well-educated team that can speak educated about it can open that door. And if they want to know more, absolutely. If they say, you know what, I'm fine, I just want to go and have a cocktail at the bar, fine as well.
That's a great point too, because you know the personalization is so key in these types of properties too. But you have an advantage there that it's not just a box and four walls and a bed. It's what the old saying is. You have some history that you can speak to, market, and I'm sure you take full advantage of that. I want to switch to the guest experience at SLS and talk about technology a little bit, because this is just fascinating for me, especially with these historic hotels with such rich history. You mentioned that there's a preservation side of the building, but yet some people, as we talked about, want to come in and they want all the modern amenities of technology implemented without the guest experience. So how do you find that balance there of history and implementing new technology?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think first and foremost we have to say that the only consistency in life is change. And I really sincerely mean that, because ultimately the better we are in tune what the guest wants, and to your point, some guests want to have the technology, the better we are in tune with what the guest wants, or in other words, how more channels we open that they can voice their needs, the better we are off. So how do we balance that? We balance it in multitude of ways. We have with the AI, which is a hot topic.
It is.
Most of the time in the media is currently not necessarily in a positive way. So, but there are some positive sides about it. But we're experimenting with that. We are again opening the channels with the guests, so communication channels with the guests, to let us know what they want, and truly having the ears open. I think that's the key, and then customizing as we go. By the way, it also depends which region you're in. So I'm overseeing a couple of different hotels, different areas, different countries, and so it depends what your demographic is. And generally speaking, our demographic here at SLS South Beach is usually quite progressive. It is quite savvy in regards to technology. So here's much bigger demand than maybe other hotels.
Yeah, that's a fascinating point. I didn't think about that, because hospitality, we've always been an industry, I feel, sometimes lagging behind in the technology, but you're right. You could have some properties there with a very tech-savvy customer profile, guest profile, and keeping those lines of communication open, I think, is absolutely key too. One of those lines being online reputation and listening to reviews and guest feedback in all of those places. I want to ask you, the SLS South Beach, you told me the stories, the historical nature, that has a reputation that kind of precedes itself. But how do you you and your team, what are you guys doing to kind of keep that review and feedback information fresh online, and making sure that you keep that experience alive, and what you want it to be, that story being told online that you want it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% right, Ryan. It precedes, but it sets also expectations.
Yes.
So, the thing is, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, in my opinion, because yes, you have an image, but then the expectations are high, and as you know, as a hotelier yourself, we want to exceed those expectations, and if they're already high, so we're going to go higher. So the thing is, we do in-house. Where the guest is able to directly give us feedback that is fed through the Wi-Fi. So actually there's a chat that you can immediately say, hey, I love it, I would like to have more of this, or maybe, it took too long the water to become warm in the shower, so we can correct those type of things. But also we have external companies that we take, and in particular with the online reputation, so the travel media, World Travel Media is a part of it, where we strongly believe that we have the responsibility to answer every single comment that is made. Is it good, bad, fantastic, whatever it is? So that's where we also, from external, ultimately get some help.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a well-rounded strategy right now, because there are so many open lines of communication. You just talked about a couple, some with SMS, some with a chatbot, some with historical places where things are left online, like TripAdvisor, OTAs, things of that nature. So it's very important to obviously be vigilant, be listening to your guests, and I'm sure you're no stranger to that, being years in the hospitality. That has certainly evolved though during this past decade.
Absolutely.
The type of response time that is required from the guests, or anticipated to exceed those expectations. So I want to get to know you and the property a little bit better. So we're going to do some rapid fire questions here, okay? So
let's go.
I'll bring some fastballs right out of the gate. Favorite view on the property, because working in hotels, even those some of the smaller hotels, you still got that one place that you look out and you're like, man,
Can I give two?
Yeah, all right. We'll give you two. We'll give you two.
All right. View number one is, look, Lenny Kravitz designed penthouse, tower, 12th floor, ocean view. It's spectacular. You cannot argue with it. You feel like the king or the queen. So that is fantastic. Now, unfortunately, that is quite exclusive to a selected few. But so that's definitely number one. Number two is being in the middle of our restaurants, when it's buzzing, when everybody's eating and having a good time. There is, I would actually say, that even tops the ocean view. Being in the middle of it, where you feel it's a well orchestrated theater with the food comes out, the people enjoy it, have a smile on their face when they bite in it, they get the good service, and you're kind of like in that buzzing zone, you're in your zone. I think that I would probably prefer that than actually the ocean view. So that is something magical that if you haven't experienced it, hopefully you can experience it as a guest, but also as a professional, where if you're in it, that is something magical to me.
That is a fantastic answer. I when I wrote this question down, and I plan to ask it in a few more of these episodes, but I've never thought about an answer like that. And you're totally right, because there is something magical about that, whether it's that restaurant or the lobby or the pool bar or something like that, where everyone is just experiencing what you intend. And there's just that energy there. That is a great answer, Simon. That's awesome. This one might be just as difficult. Fun fact about the property that you like to share. I know you already did the Lenny Kravitz design one, but fun fact about the property.
All right. Fun fact about the property is we have a beautiful beach.
Yes.
The beach officially, by the way, belongs to the city, so loud and clear, but the city allows us to have a permit to fully service the beach. So that means if you're a hotel guest, you get your chair, you get your shades, you get your umbrella, you can order drinks, you can have food, you can get sunscreen, you get foot rubs if you want to do so, so you can enjoy it. The fun fact about that is we calculated in 2022 how much weight has been schlepped, pardon my French here, but I'm going to say carried, okay, by our beach attendants. Because the thing gets built out every morning. It needs to be broken down, stacked properly, locked up.
Wow.
Every morning, like 365 days. So it's 821 tons, metric tons.
Oh my goodness.
That ultimately our staff is building up and breaking down. So a little bit of a fun fact.
Oh my goodness, that is a fun fact. It really puts in perspective, the type of work that these beach hotels, not only, I'm sure, in the places that have some other properties, that is an incredible fact. Signature dish. You have a background in restaurants. Signature dish at the property. What's your go-to here at the SLS South Beach?
Now you're talking to a half Italian that is really deep in the food roots. Now you really ask which child is your favorite child, right? What should I say? The thing is at Katsuya, which is our Japanese-influenced restaurant, is we recently redesigned the menu, which we're very excited. We believe we have something very unique for all the foodies and people that have more of a middle-of-the-road food. But I think the Wagyu beef that we have there is the utmost best. Now, Wagyu beef, I don't want to get into a lecture about Wagyu beef. It's one of the very misperceived food items. A lot of people call Wagyu that is actually not Wagyu. So we're talking about Wagyu where you have the family tree of the cows. Who is the father, who's the mother, and goes back several generations. Wow. So that's the level of A10. By the way, it's rated in regards to, that is fantastic. It actually gets grilled in front of you right at the table, so it's table side. You can say, okay, a little bit more, a little bit less, and the cook is actually cooking right in front of you. So that's definitely something for the carnivores, at least, but that would be probably my favorite.
That's our fun fact, food and beverage fact of the day. Well, that was a great history lesson there. I did not know that, so that's very cool.
It's one of those items that gets quite often. No, it's a Wagyu.
Yeah.
But it is Kobe.
Yeah.
Nothing against Kobe. It's a very good quality. It's just not the same quality. So yeah.
Very interesting. Favorite piece of art at the property?
Oof, that's
I told you I was going to bring that. I was going to bring the fastballs.
You're really challenging me. I would say so. A little bit of a hidden. It's not visible for everybody. It is a mural by Bisco Smith. Bisco Smith is quite a famous artist from New York City. He is a true friend of mine, if I may say that. And we did a collaboration in 2018 during Art Basel. For the people that are not from Miami, in December, beginning of December, is Art Basel. Huge buzz about art, contemporary art. Right. And we did a collaboration in 2012. The mural is on the annex building of the hotel. So if you're in the tower, in the historical tower, and you have ocean view, actually look instead of down on a plain, simple roof, you actually look at a Bisco mural. Wow. So that would be probably my favorite, yes.
There you go. So all of our hoteliers and listeners and audience out there, that's where they would need to call in and say, hey, let's make sure we get that room so we can see the mural. Fantastic. Well, as we wrap up today, we enter in the fall season. What are you most excited about SLS South Beach right now? And what do you see as the vision of this property? Right, we've already talked a lot about the history.
So the vision of the property, it's a lively, energetic property. So I got to be honest. If you come here and you say, I want to have a serene, quiet experience that I don't see anybody, we're probably not right for you in SLS South Beach. If you want to be in the middle of where things happen, where people have food, we have nightlife component with Hyde Beach as well. If you want to be in the middle of it, then that's really what the SLS is about. Energetic, lively. We try to be, as I mentioned earlier on, a little bit trailblazer in many different ways. But that's really what SLS South Beach is about. What I'm mostly excited, and maybe because it's a new and shiny toy in our tool belt, is the collaboration with Juan Manuel Barrientos. He goes by Juanma. He is a Michelin-starred chef with El Cielo that he has won in Miami at the river. He has won in Washington, D.C. Both of them received Michelin stars. He also has been accepted by the Black Jacket Society Gargano. Very prestigious for the culinary team. So he is a new collaborator, and we created El Cielo at SLS South Beach, which is basically the restaurant as you come into the hotel. You basically walk into that restaurant.
Wow.
Phenomenal menu. The team of his and our team created, I think, a very unique experience from a food and beverage perspective. So that's probably what I'm most excited.
Well, we're looking forward to that and having more of those memories that we talked about earlier, right in that restaurant, and just another exciting chapter, you know, in this property's history. Simone, I want to thank you for being such a gracious host and hosting the Sweet Spot for the first time ever on site. We'll certainly have to get to maybe some of your other properties that you're working with. So great conversation. Thank you so much, Simone. Thank you for listening to The Sweet Spot, and we'll talk to you next time.